Welcome to Gumball Love. I'm Melissa Ledger, professional relationship coach, creator of Gumball Love and the Back to You Academy. If you're ready to stop the cycle of toxic men, get through the breakup once and for all, and finally get back to you, you are in the right place. This journey is about healing your heart, and you are encouraged to take the pace that is just right for you. In the process, you will build a foundation of confidence and strength that will make you unshakable, I promise. So get ready to level up your mindset and your lifestyle as you awaken the seeds of greatness just waiting to burst into full bloom. Let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of Gumball Love. I'm your host, Melissa Ledger. All right, you guys, I am so excited because I am restarting the series of the flavors of the Gumball Guy because things have changed and I am putting so much more of this in the book, and I hesitated on even sharing this stuff with you because obviously it's going to be in the book. However, I need your help. I need to make sure that this resonates with you, and I know that those of us that are in Gumball Love right now that have been following this content, because even though I'm the creator of it, I also consider myself a follower of it because it just, as much as I'm delivering the content, I'm also a consumer of it. It's helped me so much in my relationships, and that is why I continue to work on it and evolve it. And I really don't consider myself the owner because I feel like we're all in this together and we're all contributing to this, because each time I coach one of you and I learn your story, it just adds more and more dimension. So your comments, your emails really are, I want you to think of it as you're adding ingredients to this whole recipe that continues to change and evolve as I work through this content. So long story short, it's so funny. I did color the Gumball flavors about a year ago. And I really hesitated because I just thought, okay, I don't want to, the Gumball Guy wants attention. And yes, there are many flavors of attention, but the lines are blurred in so many of these areas. And there are so many places where it crosses over. So I don't want any woman to misdiagnosing her Gumball Guy because I have put Gumball Guys in too rigid of a box. So with all of these changes, I want you to always know that these are fluid. These kind of run together, and you're going to see, wait, that kind of sounds similar. Yes, there are some similarities. In fact, my love, whose name is Ian and I have gone through this, and it's also just super surreal to sit across from a man and listen to him look at all my yellow sticky notes on my walls. And just the other day, he was in the shower, and then he gets out of the shower and he's like, comes downstairs and he's like, you know what? I've been really thinking about the Entertain Me Gumball Guy. Like, oh my God, it was like the last thing I thought you would ever say. It's so crazy as this content is now he's helping me with it, which those of you who have followed me for a long time, did we ever imagine we would have a guy in my office, like not only just supporting me, but actually helping me create content? And this is also just another miracle. I used to pray and say, I need somebody that I can brainstorm this with. It doesn't get caught up in the emotion of it necessarily, although I think it's almost impossible not to get caught up in the content a little bit because, we've even had some arguments about different aspects because it triggers other relationships, family stuff. It gets a little messy sometimes, but it's really shown me how strong our relationship is because we've had to do this work. He and I have had to go to some weird areas, even in our own relationship. And so we'll get to those things, but it's been really eye-opening to explore these different flavors of the Gumball Guy. So I'm trying to get back on my train of thought. I want you to know that there's fluidity, there is crossover. However, Oh, I was telling you how he came out of the shower and he was talking about the Entertain Me guy, because what we realized is I did this series, I don't know, 2-3 months ago about just all the different flavors of gumballs. But then as I started to write it and brainstorm it and really take apart each flavor, it was like, these could be entire books in and of themselves. And so I wanted to share some things with you because I want your feedback. I want your criticism. I want you to tell me what you think is irrelevant. I don't think that's right. I think that's stupid, whatever. Because like I said, my ego is not attached to this content. I've always felt that way. It's like, I feel like this is on loan from God. I really don't think that this is something that I just came up with by myself. I know that it's not. I know that God wants us to see what true love looks like and what the pretend version is, the rip-off, the knockoff. I believe God is love, and that true, authentic energy of love that's unconditional is what we all want and what we all need. And so I think this is a gift to be able to identify that. And there are many imposters, and I believe that the Gumball Guy, or the flavors of Gumball love, are the imposters that hook us in and trick us and make us think we have the real thing when we don't. And that is my mission, is to help you identify that as quickly as possible. So I'm going to give you a rapid fire overview of each of these gumballs and I want to give you the new names of each of them, because I think I'm so excited and I can't wait. I probably should wait, but if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, I would be so glad that I delivered this podcast to you. And I know that sounds super morbid, but sometimes it's like when you have something good and it's going to help people, then I don't know, it could be months and months till this book comes out. I really have no idea when it will come out. So I want to give you what I have right now. So we have changed some of the names of the actual gumballs themselves. And I'm sorry for that, but I couldn't. Sometimes it was like I'll give you one we changed right away. Compete with her for me. So too long, right? And it was like, the green gumball is the gumball. I'm just kind of jumping ahead for a second. The green gumball is the one where there's always another woman involved. And yes, there is a sense of competition. And actually, what we named this is win me. There's this feeling that you want to win him from the other woman. So there's a competition. So win me. Do what it takes to win me. I don't love it, but I don't hate it either. So I cannot think of another name, because I want each gumball to have me after it. So that the red gumball, instead of sex me, is going to be arouse me. So all the red gumball is all about arousing him, everything leading to sex. And so it all comes back to arousal and seduction and all of those things. So let me just give them to you straight. So red gumball is now arouse me. And then we started thinking of I wanted to give the Arouse Me guy, like, who is he? What is his, I don't know, like, it's not his tagline, but his, what is he known as in society? So the red gumball, Arouse Me, is known as the player. The player, I thought long and hard about the player, because we also have the Chase Me gumball. And so how is the Chase Me gumball guy different from the player? And I'm going to get into that. So actually, we can get into that right now. So the guy that just is the player, he plays the game. He's really about the game. He's from on the spectrum of he sends you the dick pic all the way to he's like James Bond, where he is like this extremely mysterious, more sophisticated guy. Or if you want to think of, if you don't really know James Bond, I wasn't really a huge James Bond watcher, but I tested some of my girls that are 25 and, in their early 20s. I was like, who's James Bond to you? And most people, we realize they know who James Bond is. So that's that sexy, mysterious guy. But let's face it, James Bond was a player. He had different women. He was able to use that charm and charisma and that sexiness he could have any woman he wanted, right? And that has been glamorized. So this player seems like he's this smooth guy, and girls kind of want to figure out what is it going to take to make this guy settle down. But he is, as soon as you sleep with him, he's out. As soon as it's no longer sexual, he's bored. He's the guy that is all about things going back to sex. So I wanted to, this is the structure that I'm going to use for each of these flavors. And again, I'm asking you to add your input, to give me your thoughts, because we are in this together. So I want to ask you, okay, here's the way we have it laid out. That each Gumball Guy, each Gumball flavor is on a spectrum. So Arouse Me Guy can be, you're texting him, hey, how are you? And then he sends you a dick pic and you're like, wow. It's like, okay, that guy is, I'm going to jump right to sex. And if you play, great. If not, he moves on. So he might send, 50 dick pics a day, and that's what he does. I kind of picture, there are some Arouse Me guys that are like, video game in their basement, and they're just complete losers, and they're never going to actually have a real conversation, and they are just there to be aroused. They're using women on Snapchat or various things as just basically free porn, and that's how they use, that's what they do. Then there is the guy that has a little bit more conversation, but then it's like, what are you wearing? So you have he has some ability to interact, but then it always veers back. So we have these narrowed down to immediate sex, an unexpected change, or a misdirect. Starts with something else, but then he leads it back to sex, all the way to the feeling of, oh my gosh, we have so much chemistry, you have huge attraction, and then he James Bonds you. There's all these varying degrees. So I would love to hear from you. What do you think those varying degrees are? What have you experienced from the, hey, what's your bra size? What are you wearing? To, oh my gosh, you have amazing lips. You have nice eyes. Like in the movie Hitch, the guy in the bar with Eva Mendes, my sister and I always say that. You have nice eyes. And she's like, really, dude? That wasn't a cue for try harder. Really not interested. It's the guy that's just like, he comes to the date with a boner. He's like, I've actually referenced this poor guy so many times, but he literally looked at my legs under the table at the Four Seasons in New York, like checked out, leaned back, looked at my legs in an obvious way. Also, he still had his earbuds in with the wire, with like a hooded sweatshirt with a sports jacket over the top. Like it was his idea to go to Four Seasons, and then he wore a hoodie with a sports jacket. I was like, you are such a tool. And I just sat there like watching him in awe, like, wow, you. And then he didn't realize how expensive the drinks were at the Four Seasons. They were like $25 a piece. So then he's already $50. And I knew he was kind of scared that I was going to order another drink, because it would have been $100 for each of us to have 2 drinks. And I was like, oh, this poor dude, he can't even afford the drinks. He had no idea what to dress. I don't know what he was thinking when he picked the Four Seasons, but he's clearly out of his league. But I think sometimes these guys are sort of James Bond in their minds. And so he picked a location and he thought he was going to be like more smooth and sly. And then he didn't know where to go with it. So as I was talking to Ian about this, and he always I'm like, look, dude, these guys are not that sophisticated. It's hard for him to imagine he's like, guys are doing this. Like, it was just so hard. I'm like, yes, you need to understand there's a spectrum here. Not every guy out there is not James Bond. There is a wide variety of Arouse Me that we kind of need to be looking at and being able to identify. So all of this, I guess none of it matters if you're completely turned off and you're not even attracted to the guy. I mean, you don't even need to worry about Gumball love. You're just going to eliminate it. But it's the ones that get you a little bit hooked in, the ones that grab your attention, the ones that are like, the ones you're thinking about, so I want you to have this information in your head. And Ian had a great line I want to share with you. He said, this isn't the line, but this is the setup. He said, every girl, if you think of the spectrum of the dick pic guy to the James Bond, And then you draw the line in the middle and you decide where it goes. At the far end, it's vulgar, and that the other end, the left side is vulgar and the right side is super charming. So the charming Arouse Me Gumball Guy is not going to probably say very many offensive things. He's going to be very kind. He's going to look like he's super interested. My girl Cynthia said, yeah, he looks like he really wants a relationship. He seems taken by you and mesmerized. Have you ever had this guy who's mesmerized? And let's face it, it's kind of cool to have someone be mesmerized by you. And so this is very alluring and seductive. And if you're attracted to them, don't beat yourself up. I mean, this is like, it's just hard to resist sometimes. But I want you to be able to identify when there's a game going on, because nothing pisses me off more than to realize, oh my God, it's the worst feeling ever to be like, oh my God, the whole thing was a scam. He was just trying to get laid the entire time. So if you want, I recommend looking up, pretend you're a guy and Google how to pick up women, pick up artists techniques. I started reading all of these things. And when you know what advice is given to guys to pick up women, that will give you even more. And I'll put a lot of that stuff in Arouse Me and in these different Gumball Guy flavors. But I want you to just take some time to get into that world a little bit so you know, oh yeah, this is a game. He's just trying to get laid. And then you can quickly move on. But I'm sort of hesitating here because, I'm going to tell you the line Ian said. He said, if you are talking to an Arouse Me Gumball Guy and you say, look, I'm really not interested in going there in a sexual way, but I still want to get to know you. He goes, if a woman states her boundary and he doesn't stop, he's a Gumball Guy. If you say, I don't really want to have that conversation, and then he comes back to sex again and you're like, we've already talked about this. He's like a guy. He said, any guy that goes across a boundary that a woman has set, he goes, I don't care. It was so I was so proud when he was saying this. He goes, I don't care if it's like, oh my gosh, I'm naked in bed and, it's like about to happen. And then she's like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm here. Okay, stop. He's like, even at that, if he does not stop, if he continues to, well, what do you mean? Like try to convince you or push you past the boundaries. I don't mean like he's going to try to rape you, but like, where if you've been in that situation and you've like, oh my gosh, I can't go any further. And I have to say most guys do stop, but some will kind of, they'll stop for a second, but then they start to try to work you again when you've clearly said, I'm not comfortable. I don't, this is not where, but we also have to do our part too. It's like, okay, if you're going to stop, then you need to get dressed. You need to change the mood. You can't, lay there naked and talk about how you don't want to have sex. There's like, you can't, give false advertising. So you got to take away that visual stimulation if you really want to stop. But if he keeps pursuing past anything like texting you when you said you didn't want to be texted, then you can know this is a Gumball Guy. It doesn't matter what you want. He wants his high and he's done. So that's a great I wanted you to have also very clear, I can walk away and feel confident that even though I may see potential, that it will most likely not be realized and I can just move away. So getting back to, I want to know all of the things that you have heard, that you have experienced, that you can just DM me and say, I fell for an Arouse Me guy because he texted me all this blah, 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 and it ended up being a booty call. So Arouse Me guy can be booty call guy. He can be from what are you wearing to booty call to all the way to one night stand, or maybe he's the friends with benefits guy that actually never pursues a relationship. He just kind of uses it for sex. That's also Arouse Me. That's the player. That is the player. Okay, so I'm going to explain the difference between player and the guy that wants you to chase him, because I feel like we spent so much time really going through the differences. But I'm so excited to tell you the difference. So we have the player, and then we have, remember when the orange gumball is drama. But I started thinking, well, what happens when he wants drama? Like, what's causing drama? It's fights. So orange gumball guy is fight me. So we have Arouse Me and we have fight me. and the Fight Me Guy is the Drama King. I love these so much. These I really like. Arouse Me, the player. Orange, Fight Me, the Drama King. I also want you to, when we think of the gumball validates, it soothes, it stimulates, it's pleasure-inducing, pain-suppressing. Let's go back to the Arouse Me Guy just for a second, because in the definition, what is the gumball? What is it actually doing? Yes, he's getting sex. Sex is soothing, it's stimulating, it's pleasure-inducing, it's pain-suppressing. So as we think of the player, what Gumball Love is going to do is de-glamorize this guy who's out there thinking he's a smooth operator and James Bond getting sex from all these women. Because why is he doing it? He's doing it because he's trying to soothe himself. He's trying to feel accepted. He's trying to feel validated. And the Arouse Me Guy, sorry, I'm going to go back to the Fight Me Guy in a second, but the Arouse Me Guy is actually trying to get something different. And this is the biggest gem about Arouse Me Guy. Arouse Me Guy, and I'm going to switch this back on you in a second, but Arouse Me Guy wants intimacy. He wants to be close. He wants the feeling of love. He wants to get a taste of that. But to have love, to have all of what love brings, also comes a tremendous amount of being seen. So it's massive exposure and massive vulnerability. You want to be in love, you want to really have somebody who knows you, they're going to know you. And a lot of people, and I'm going to call some of you out right now, where some of my clients will come to me and say, I want to just have fun. And so when I hear have fun, it's like, I want to just hook up. And I'm going to challenge you and say, are you hooking up because you just want to get laid? Or are you hooking up because it's fun to, like, the make out, the kissing, the feeling desired, the being held? There's a lot of affection that happens with sex. It's not like we just take our pants off and just go at it like we're, lions in the Sahara. Like there's a lot of prelude and intensity, and there's all that lust and seduction combined with the physical affection. There's a lot of benefits to that. And I'm going to challenge the player and this whole idea that this is about sex, because when Neil Strauss, the biggest pickup artist out there, well, not anymore, he's reformed now, but he created the biggest society of pickup artists, and he hates it now, but he even admitted it in his first book that this was about being accepted. So to me, that feeling of being accepted is a lot of feeling love. Like, I want to feel like I belong. I want to get a little hit of that, but I don't want to go through the work. So it's like, kind of like, what if you could have a tiny peek into what it would be like to be super fit and look amazing and be at your best, but then not actually do the work. If there was a drug that could give you that feeling temporarily and give you a peek into that world, it would be tempting to do it. And so that's sort of what a hookup is. It's like, I'm going to have a little bit of that affection and all of the stuff that, because sex should be a benefit of love, right? It's called making love. So this should be what we experience when we are in love with our partner, and it builds connection, because it actually does. So when I got to, when I was challenging Dr. Jana, who she believes and promotes the idea that we don't need, that monogamy is not natural. But then in her TED Talk, she said, when you want a non-monogamous lifestyle, you have to go through a period of transition because when you have sex, your body releases chemicals that make you feel attached, and also releases chemicals that when you have sex with somebody, that it means that's mine, not yours. So it gives you a territorial sense about the person you've had sex with. I was thinking, if monogamy is not natural, then why is our brain creating all this stuff that makes it feel really natural that I'm having sex with this person is mine, not yours, and I'm feeling super attached. So we are going to feel attached. The brain is going to do what the brain does. It's science, and that's it. The brain is saying, I am releasing attachment chemicals, and that I'm going to give you this feeling like this is mine. And then she said, you have to work to detach yourself from those feelings. And it's like, how do you even do it when your body's going to release the same chemicals every time you have sex, regardless of what you think you're doing in your mind? The chemicals are going to release no matter what. So it's like the bomb is going to go off no matter how many wires you think you can cross. So that being said, I want you to think of, and this is where the lines get blurred about Arouse Me Guy, the player, because if you've ever been with a player, you've seen the soft sides. You've seen that guy in there, the guy that, I can see his little baby face. I can see the child. I can see the man that wants to be loved. And oh man, I've heard so many times where like love the little boy inside of him and you'll make him into a man. Blah. It's like, no, we cannot transform him from this behavior ourselves. There are not women that are game changers that can make a guy go from that emotional immaturity and lack of capacity to all of a sudden advance him to level 10 without going through levels 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Do you hear me? So, but I'm trying to blur these lines here a little bit so that we can understand what is going on with him, so that we don't just feel like, oh, great, I was just used for sex. Kind of. But you were actually used for a little feeling of love, a little feeling of affection. Give me some love, but I can't take the vulnerability and exposure that getting to know you and you getting to know me would mean. So I'm going to try to skip that part. And I think that's what a lot of guys that are coming back for booty calls are doing, especially the return player. He comes back, and often I've coached many women where after the booty call, there's this amazing, deep talk, because sometimes they do open up. They feel close, they feel safe, and so they say a lot of things. And then you think, okay, we've really made some progress. But that was just a moment for him. And then he's going to shut down and go back to the way he was living. And then he's going to hook up with somebody else because this is his drug. This is how he's getting by. And so the player plays because the player is too afraid to be vulnerable. And that's where people say he's afraid of intimacy. Yes, he is. Because sex gives you intimacy without vulnerability. Sex gives you intimacy. Well, some intimacy, not all. Intimacy is really where you feel like there's no true intimacy, is where you can be your complete self and you can open up. But sometimes I think if people feel comfortable sexually and they can just kind of let go, then there is a sense of intimacy there in a non-sexual way that, yes, the sex is what's going on, but there's a sense of freedom within that box where I can be myself and I'm not judged, and whatever connection you have in a sexual way allows freedom in that realm. And I hope you understand what I'm saying. It's like, yes, you're having sex and but there's a freedom of expression there and a safety in that booty call that people experience. But then what we're really doing is we're stunting our ability to have that feeling every time, long term, with a partner that loves us in all of the other areas of our lives. So Neil Strauss, when he was interviewed by Lewis Howes, he said that when he lived the life of a player for a long time, He said, I always looked at a relationship like a trap, that I never wanted to be stuck. So he made this player lifestyle into something that was very cool. But as he grew and evolved, he said, I realized that the player lifestyle was the trap, and that being truly loved and allowing myself to be vulnerable and seen and be loved for who I was, no matter what, was actually the freedom. And being in a lifestyle where you have to go from one sugar high to the next and it never ends, that's the trap. And so my goal is to, let's de-glamorize this. If you've been a victim of the player or the booty call, I want you to take away the, oh man, he's like he might go to work and act like he's super cool. And he may have convinced himself that he's cool and that this is an amazing lifestyle because he has people like James Bond convincing him that this is cool. There's a lot of movies and a lot of branding around even Mr. Big. I mean, Mr. Big is a player, right? So he's been glamorized, and Carrie Bradshaw spent all of the whole series pursuing a player and trying to finally land him. But even when she landed him, he felt bored, and then they were trying to be in separate apartments, trying to live separate lives, but still together. I mean, it was just like, it's completely toxic. By the way, the more evolved I've gotten, the more toxic that show is. I mean, I want to love the show, but as I watch it now, it's like, oh my God, these women are just, if I'm single, I'm the worst ever. And they're just obsessed about a relationship and obsessed about the next guy. And oh my God, when am I going to get married? And this girl's married and I'm not. It's just like this show I'm so glad I didn't watch it religiously in its prime, because it would make me feel, I found myself, even though I'm in a relationship that I'm happy, I was watching a few episodes the other day and I was like, wow, this is really depressing. This does not make you feel empowered as a woman. And you can tell the show is quite dated because it's just not a healthy mindset. And I think women have evolved so much more since that show has come out. However, I mean, I'm still going to love the show because it's New York, it's Sex and the City. I mean, you want to have the love for it, but at the same time, it's so bad. It's just that obsession with the player and trying to, it's like the idea of the player is we're trying to earn his approval because he's so elusive and it's so hard to get him, that when you finally do, it feels like some kind of an accomplishment. And think of the movie, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. He was the player, she was the player, but really it ends up being one big game. And then at the end, everybody just wants to be loved. So I always come back to that. Every single person has the desire to be loved. So I don't think anyone is having sex just for the sake of having sex. I believe that because if guys really just wanted an orgasm, they can give themselves orgasms. So if you remove the orgasm away from it, and then you look at everything that happens from the beginning of the communication all the way up until the sex, what is it actually about? It's about feeling desired, feeling sexy. It's all of the gumballs. So I don't want you to start feeling sorry for the player. Oh, poor player. He just wants to feel loved and he's going from one booty call to the next. Poor baby. I mean, it is gross, right? And some of these guys, again, I want you to think of this on the spectrum. The guy that's like, here's my penis, screw that guy. Like there are guys that it's like, okay, you're disgusting. You're a pig. A lot of them. So filter like a freak, get all those guys out. The guy's like, hi, hey, how are you? How was your day? Hi, beautiful. Hey, sexy. I went through a list of all of those with Ian. He was like, I'm like, what about the guy that just says hi? He's like, block immediately. I'm like, really? Just hi? You're like, out. He's like, yeah, if he doesn't make an effort, he doesn't introduce himself. These are things where like, okay, I said, so you feel, because sometimes he'll say, no. He'll push back and say, I think you should give this guy a little bit more time, or maybe this is going on. I'm like, oh, this is so interesting. So it's been amazing to have not only a male perspective and have just the love of my life be able to create this. I only dreamed of someone supporting me with Gumball Love. I never imagined having a partner that would create content with me. That is like crazy. If you've been with me a long time, I did almost all my Gumball Love work single and had the faith that this would come into my life and kept telling you not to settle, to hold out, and I'm telling you it's worth it. So I want to give you the confidence. I want to give you it's like, if you have the data to support, to show, okay, yeah, this, it's almost like having, have you ever had like something that's making you feel sick, or you're like Googling everything and you think you have cancer, and then you go to the doctor and they're like, oh yeah, you have, for me, it was you're lactose intolerant. I'm like, oh good, I'm glad I don't have pancreatitis or pancreatic cancer, because it was making me feel so painful. But then I started looking up the symptoms of lactose intolerance. And then once you have the correct diagnosis, then the symptoms, you read them and you're like, oh yes, that's exactly what it is. And then it rings true and it makes complete sense. And so I want you to be able to have these symptoms to where you're like, dang, I really like this guy. And we do have a lot of chemistry, but he's totally the player. This is what he does. This is his lifestyle, and it doesn't match mine. And as cute and as dreamy as he is, I gotta let him go. And that is the goal. So like always, I have these huge goals. I thought I was going to get through all 8 Gumball flavors again, but I'm going to give you a sneak peek into the rest of the flavors, and then I'll go into them in more depth because I think it warrants another conversation. And I want to just tell you all the new juicy stuff, we've given them nicknames. All of them have nicknames, so it's pretty cool. So what do you think? What has been your experience with these different types of guys? How do you feel like, as you're listening, do you think your story might be able to shed some light into and add dimension to some of these perspectives? I would love to hear that, and then you might be thinking, my story should be in this book because I went through what I went through, and I think a lot of women could benefit from hearing what this guy did to me. So I am available to taking your stories. And if you want to write a quick snapshot of what you went through and send it to me, Melissa, to my email, melissa@gumballlove.com. I would love to hear your story. And I want to know how you feel about the spectrum. I'm really looking for more. If I look at it from left to right, the vulgar dick pic to the charming James Bond, what have you experienced? What are all the in-betweens? I just want to know your perspective. So, all right, I'm going to give you a sneak peek to the final nicknames. So we have named, and I'll do these in more detail in subsequent podcasts, the orange gumball, which I had named Drama Me, Give Me Drama, is now Fight Me, the Drama King. So we're going to give, their nickname is the Drama King. So the red Gumball Guy, Arouse Me, is the player. The orange Gumball is Fight Me, the Drama King. The yellow Gumball Guy, Entertain Me, is the Brat. Oh my God, you guys, the Entertain Me Gumball is so huge, and I can't wait to dig into that one. The green Gumball, this is where I really would like your perspective, because I had this as compete with her for me. And I want the flavors to say something me. So arouse me, fight me, entertain me. And I wish it could say compete me, because compete to me is the word that really encompasses what we're doing when we feel like we're competing with another woman. And so what happens at the end of a competition? You win. So it's like he's saying, win me. And the win me guy is the cheater. You find out he's cheating on you, or he's cheating with you on someone else. And that dynamic of being the other woman, or realizing there's another woman, and both sides of that, is a guy that really volleys back and forth and gets the high off of the intensity of both relationships. Sometimes it's two women competing. Sometimes he's moving away from a relationship and he uses the other woman as the vacation gumball, as the escape. So we've toyed with I would love if it would say escape me, but that doesn't ring. So I'm just giving you an idea where we are and then I'm just trying to finalize tweaking it. But if I can't think of anything else, it's going to stay with win me. And then, so the green gumball, win me, is the cheater. And then the blue gumball, pity me. Oh, my girl Steph came up with this. The victim. Oh, totally the guy that plays the victim. Everything is sad. Woe is me. So, again, I'm not going into super big detail because we have gone into detail on a lot of these, but I want to shed a little bit more light when I'm having aha moments, which is super exciting. Just adding the love of my life to helping me brainstorm and just a male perspective and his, it's just infusing all these new ideas and just also have someone around all the time that I can brainstorm with. So it's been really exciting to see this become so much more. And he's really helped me see that this is so much deeper than I realized. To be honest with you, I thought I was just going to say, oh yeah, the sex Gumball guy, the Arouse Me guy, he's the one that always brings it back to sex. And it was sort of simple in my mind. But as we got really in depth with every single flavor, I then realized these are little worlds within worlds. So I wanted to just give you this peek because I think that although it would be, I'd love to do a mass reveal, but I just don't think that's what this content is made to do. I feel like we are weaving this together and you're going to add a piece of thread and she's going to add a piece of thread and it's all going to come together. And then those of us that are here in this building process, it's been going on for the last few years. You've seen Gumball Love. I started with Periscope and then Snapchat and then getting clients and then creating an online academy and women started going through this journey and then they found relationships and now babies are being born. And so I've been able to see this whole process evolve and it's confirmed to me over and over, this is the system. So we're creating a system. So just so you can, as you are consuming the content for your own life, I want you to think of it that way, but also think of it as, okay, if I'm giving this as a gift to somebody else, let's say you're going to give the book as a gift to your friend. What do you think needs to be in it so that your little contribution, or maybe it's not a little, maybe you're going to tell me something and I'm like, oh my God, I can't even believe I didn't think of this. This needs to be in there. Like, what do you think needs to be in here so that when we pass this to our friends and our family members, it's like, look, I know you really like this guy, but you need to read this book and I want you to focus on this part because this is, you know what I mean? Like, I want to know what you think needs to be in this book. So, and just, in this concept and part of the journey, what are the most important parts of this journey? Okay, so the blue gumball guy, the victim, blue gumball, pity me. So it's still pity me, but we've given them all nicknames. Purple gumball guy. So purple gumball guy used to be focus on me. Look at me. I had so many different talk about me. It was like the guy that needs all these compliments. Like, what is this guy? And it just focus on me just didn't seem right. It was like, it's the guy that seems really outwardly confident. He loves an audience, like entertain me guy. He needs everybody to be entertaining him. But the purple gumball guy, the one that wants people focused on him, he's the entertainer. He's a lot of different things. So purple gumball guy is, we have now named Idolize Me. He wants everybody to think he's amazing. And we've nicknamed him the rock star because a rock star stands on stage and has all the adoring fans. So the Idolize Me guy is like, I want all these fans. He's the guy, he could be an Instagrammer guy. And, I'm an Instagram person too, but we all know the type that's on there for the adoration versus to deliver content. So I always know an influencer a good one from a bad one. One's focused on the number of followers and the other one is focused on the content. And, just over a period of listening to them, you're like, yeah, they're in it for the gumballs. They're not really in it to help people and deliver and change lives. And, the content isn't living and breathing in them. They're just doing it for the result. So when you think of somebody who they like the audience, they need the likes. Sometimes when you think of rock star, obviously we're not all dating former rock stars, but it's kind of like the most dramatic of maybe the former quarterback, the guy who was, maybe he was super cool when he was young, or he had maybe he's a former athlete, or he was the it guy in some way, or he's really important at his job. And so he's the guy that likes the trophy wife. He loves to impress. He's like, here's my car, here's my boat. He loves lots of new people. He wants to meet more people. He wants to tell you the story. He wants to feel very important. A lot of times he could be like a public personality, a politician, a faded star. I don't know, maybe some of you have dated former celebrities where they still kind of go and seek that to be idolized, to have that sense of adoration. And so when you're around someone like that, you don't feel seen. And we'll get into the specifics, but that's just the sneak peek. The pink Gumball Guy is still Chase Me. We changed the colors up a little bit on Chase Me and Idolize Me because I wanted Idolize Me to be purple for that sense of like I'm royalty. So I wanted to give you as many color associations to those different things. Idolize me, I'm royalty, I'm the best, I'm this. They have that sense of entitlement too. Okay, pink Gumball Guy is still Chase Me, and we've named him The Bachelor. So with the Chase Me guy, you always feel like you're competing for the final rose. Like you have a sense. So this is where we separated the Win Me guy from the Chase Me guy. Win Me is usually there's only one other woman involved and you're competing with the wife, or you are the other woman, or he has an ex. There's a situation that you know about and you're in the thick of it. It's back and forth and he's always, sometimes that same guy can be bringing up other women, but it's usually, I'm not going to say usually, it's when you know about the other women. You find out about the other woman pretty quickly. Well, things aren't wrapped up with my ex. I really like you, but I'm really confused. And so now you're in a competition and you want to win. Chase Me, The Bachelor, you don't really know what's going on with this guy. He might be a player, but I also call this guy the hide and seek peekaboo guy. He's here and he's gone. He's the ghoster and the reappearer. He's the, hey, how was your weekend? Then you respond and he doesn't say anything. He says, what are you up to this week? With no intention of making a plan with you. So he's the guy you may have gone on an amazing first date with. And it was so like, oh my God, how can we not go on 10 more dates? And then you don't hear from him, or you hear from him occasionally. He's mysterious. He likes for you to respond, but it's just like pulling teeth to get this guy to just hang out. Come on, we have all this chemistry. We have this connection. Like, what's going on? The perfect line for the Chase Me guy is he does just enough to keep you reeled in, but not enough to contribute to your life. The Chase Me guy is not contributing to your life in any way. The Win Me guy, he's in your life. He's talking to you. He's telling you about the other woman. You have a window into that guy's life. With the Chase Me guy, it's like, it's always mysterious. You just don't know what's going on. And he might be, I think Chase Me and player can sometimes be together. So he could create Chase Me, and then he goes and Chase Me guy can be booty call guy as well. But a lot of times he is the more elusive, where he keeps a lot of women in his so-called database, but he doesn't necessarily pursue relationships. So this is the most confusing guy. I think I coach Chase Me more than I coach anything else because it is the most confusing. So we'll get into Chase Me in much more detail later. White Gumball Guy. used to be prove yourself to me. And now it is convince me. And I've nicknamed this guy the Skeptic, or maybe Steph did. I can't remember. Can't remember who gave the names. So if you have a better nickname, please message this, because right now this is starting to gel, where I'm really committing to, okay, this is going to be the name. So it's prove you're worthy of me, convince me of your intentions. I have a lot of walls up. I need you to break them down. I don't know about you. Prove to me you're not like the others. He's a constant skeptic. So you always feel like you are selling yourself to this guy. So I know if you've listened to other podcasts, some of this is a little repetitive, but I hope this was kind of a nice recap, and especially a great deep dive into the player. Because you guys, it's getting so juicy. It's getting so fun, and it's fun again. This has been kind of not unfun, but frustrating for me, because I knew there was more to it, and I was just annoyed it wasn't coming faster. And it's just, I'm trying to be patient with the timing that it's taking, but still, it's been a labor of love for sure. So I cannot wait to hear your feedback. I love hearing from you guys. So please feel free to reach out to me anytime. You can DM me on Instagram at the Melissa Ledger, TheMelissaLegger. All right, you guys, I'm going to leave you there. Until next time, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening. If you want more information, or to schedule a private coaching session, or better yet, to join the next Back to You Academy, go to gumballlove.com. If you loved this podcast, I would love for you to share it with your friends. And if you really loved it, a 5-star review is the best compliment you can give. Remember, you are enough, you are right where you should be, and the only thing you have to do is keep going. I'll leave you with my favorite quote by Henry David Thoreau. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams and live the life you have imagined. Until next time, I'll see you soon.